So I've been talking about the global birth rate decline because it's happening across many different countries. And I think that we're going to also start seeing more and more articles about the global marriage decline because the way women are talking about marriage, it just seems like a lot of women are getting to that point where they're no longer accepting the tolerable level of permanent unhappiness. Now, I've come across two different posts in two different subreddits. This one is in the marriage subreddit. This woman says, "Why do so many husbands hate their wives?" She says, "Background: My husband and I work for the same company. We are UK based." That's the reason why I said that this is a global thing because, Reddit, these posts are global posts. All right, so she says, yesterday, a colleague made a comment in a group, in group's Microsoft Teams chat that implied that my husband was long suffering, as I always say no. This couldn't be further from the truth, but it's really affected me. I'm incredibly triggered by the ball and chain trope and her indoors. Now, I don't really know what her indoors means. I guess maybe that's that the inside or the home is the woman domain. All right, the her indoors stereotype or trope that implies that wives are killjoys that prevent their husbands from having fun or even enjoying life, that they are a burden and, for want of a better phrase, nothing but a pain to a man. It's making me question marriage, my marriage, and marriage in general. Is this how I'm seen as a wife? Is marriage not about enduring love, trust, and respect at its core? Is this how men speak about their wives, unhappy and fed up with a boring nag? From my logical brain is telling me not, it's nothing but misogyny from a person who is likely unhappy in his own marriage or situation. But you see it so much in the media, TV, social media, men speaking about their wife in a derogatory way and deeply unhappy. It would be really good to see a male perspective on this. How do you feel about your wife? Also, I'll also hasten to add to this post, I'm aware this is not all men. The reason why I pointed out that this is UK based, because she's seeing it in her television, TV, social media, and everything. This is a global phenomenon. And is it any wonder why women are being like, you know what? I am not a ball and chain. You don't have to be here. So we're going to just disconnect this chain. Lucy Lulu says, I just generally think a certain small group of men truly dislike women, and a slightly larger group of men buy into the joke and help enable that group that hate women. It does seem to be pervasive, even in men who are fairly positive about women. The other day, I heard my husband say, I can't come to the pub tonight. I've been away, so Sarah won't be happy if I go out again. Actually, he didn't want to go out and he recognized he'd been away, so he needed to take up some housework and childcare slack. But rather than say that, he used the wife won't let me BS as an excuse. I was so angry and told him so. Also, just made him seem pathetic that he couldn't be assertive enough to say no to his friend without using me as an excuse. I'm with you, OP, feeling down with marriage and men. Even the good ones seem to be fairly misogynistic. Cartography book honed in on this part where it said the wife won't let me BS as an excuse, saying mine has pulled that same crap before to weasel out of stuff he didn't want to do in the first place. I told him to cut it out for the same reasons you said. You don't get to throw me under the bus for literally decisions I had no influence or opinion on. It was your choice. Just own it. And what I'm seeing is many of these people make marriage seem like such a drag, and it's just perpetuated over and over to the point where it's literally seen as just a drag. So why would women keep wanting to participate in it if we're always seen as the nag or the drag or something like that? All right, so I'll do this final one and then I have another post to get to. Ling says mine does this too, and I'm mixed on it. On one hand, I get that he doesn't want to go somewhere or do something because of his social anxiety. On the other hand, it's kind of annoying to be blamed when I don't care whether or not he goes or to do something or hangs out with someone. Now we get to this post. This is a really short post, and literally she just posted it 44 minutes ago in the relationship subreddit. but it matches, it goes. She says, my husband, who's 43, tells me the worst part of his day is coming home to his family, then expects me, 37-year-old woman, to want to be actual with him. How can he expect me to do that? She says, how can I even possibly entertain being intimate or actual with a man who tells me that he hates coming home to his family? We have 3 kids, and I know that he loves his job and home is overwhelming, but I just can't get past it. I try and think about him actually, but I'm just so turned off. He says that X is what he's missing from home to make it better. It sounds ridiculous even typing it. I have no idea what to do to try to make our marriage work at this point. What can I do to get him to understand my mental block on this one? There's a couple of things going on with this thing. So, you know how we've talked about return to office. A lot of these men want to get to the office to escape their home life. And then number 2, they want the birth rate to go up, but like half of the population of parents gets to run away from the home life and is expected to be the domain of the woman. And then number 3, this comes back to women being the wife appliance. She's just supposed to be the happiness machine to the husband and do what he wants for pleasure, no matter her feelings on it, being overwhelmed with the kids, keeping the house running when he gets to run away and be in his happy place which is his job. At some point, women are going to get to the point where it's just like, okay, I'm having these kids for these men that don't want to be in the home, or I'm getting married and they just really don't like to be around us. We're a nag, we're a drag, and all of that. All of this is going to culminate in the continued birth rate decline and marriage decline, because what woman really wants to be seen like this, to have your spouse come home and say, I hate being here. Snoo says, time for a good marriage counselor if you want to even salvage this situation. He's telling you that he hates everything about you except the ex. I'd be turned off by that too. Honestly, you may want to consider what this man adds to your life. Right. Because, yeah, at this particular point, she's a whole, period. He doesn't want to be involved with the kids, the family, the home life. He just wants a whole. He wants to go to his happy place in the office and come home to his whole, and that's it. Copper Blitter says, up to this point of time to get a good marriage counselor if you want to even salvage this situation. And this person says both a marriage counselor and a personal counselor for him are advised. It sounds like he has difficulty enjoying aspects of his life that are challenging. And then this person says, to the point of, he's telling you he hates everything about you except the ex. And then this person says, I don't think that's what he's trying to tell her, but it's definitely the message he's communicating. Sam says, I think it's more of a guilting into ex, hoping she hears he's unhappy, but more ex will fix it. Unfortunately, he bet wrong and now has to own what he said, whether he's being honest or not. This person, Corfiz, says, or encourage him to work longer hours and just make sure your bank card works. You could suggest he get an apartment closer to work to cut down on the commute during the work week. Right. Just stay gone. Just stay gone, Fred. You know, you don't want to be here. Just let's work on separating. This person says, he also said he hates his own kids. Of course, you don't want to service a man who hates you and your children. ALC says, just what I said. It sounds as if she is just a whole to him. He really doesn't deserve to have X with her or really anyone else. And that's what it comes down to. At this point, women are going to hear these words, take it to heart, and move accordingly. There's no fixing this. There's no fixing this. Cookies and Milk says, sometimes you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. Poor says, precisely, the grass is never greener. Sounds like Ben. Is there a bottle involved? Counseling is imperative before he loses everything. I don't know. The whole, you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. A lot of men are unhappiness. There's a whole loneliness crisis going on. But I think a lot of it they're bringing on themselves. And that's the reason why a lot of women don't have very much empathy or sympathy or grace for these people because of this. All right, y'all. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So I have been talking about being on team let the birth rate plummet to hell. And some of these stories just keep reinforcing why women will opt out of having babies. This was posted in the divorce subreddit. At first, I didn't understand the title. I had to get to some of the posts to understand it. He said, opted out of child support from corporate X. Is that wrong? He's a 45-year-old male. It says opted out of child support from corporate X. Okay, let's try to figure this out. For the background, male in 40s, been divorced for 5 years, now with one child who's 50-50. I mean, they split custody 50-50, who's 12 years old. We both had the same salary when we split and agreed to no child support or spousal support living in Canada. Situation. Years later, X makes 2 times more than me, 200,000 versus 400,000, and on track to make 3 or 4 times that, 600,000 to 800,000 in the next few years on the corporate ladder. Question: is it wrong to reinitiate child support talks and pursue? Is the extra money worth it? My thoughts: not to pursue child support and jeopardize my relationship with X, as money isn't everything, and I'm a simple person that gets by minimally. However, my child does live a fancy life on her side, annual high-end resorts, cruises, vacations, homes, etc. Note, I'm a male and have been told if it were the other way around, the female would definitely seek child support if the male climbed the corporate ladder. I think it's all based upon the person. Number two, we are very amicable and get along perfectly fine and co-parent well. Number three, my hesitation is I don't want her to flip a switch and go crazy on me by initiating this process. I can see her start making my life difficult for me to spend time with my child, like, and bring in lawyers and waste money, or not be flexible to me for when I want to see my child anytime I'm lonely. She can go that path outside of the 50-50. Number four, I'm not from here, Canada, and my family and friends all live outside of Canada and have no one around. Yes, life sucks solo when you feel trapped in a country, but all worth it to raise your child. Number one, how does he know what his ex is making and why is he pocket watching her? They've been divorced for 5 years and they've been co parenting this whole time. And now he wants to go in and amend things. I don't know how that works in Canada, but if this man, okay, so making 200 versus 400. So he's making $200,000. And for a single person who's raising their child 50-50, that still seems like a decent amount of money. It's not like one person is living in poverty and the other person is living extravagantly. Yes, $400,000 is a lot of money, but he's still making $200,000. So I'm not really seeing the issue. And then the thing is, she's on track to make 3 or 4 times that amount. So he is banking on her future money. So he is still really plugged in to her situation. And he needs to be focused on not being so lonely, making his own friends, creating a life of his own, because they have been divorced for 5 years. So her money is no longer his concern. I don't know about this. This just seems quite entitled and a mess. Friendly Birthday says, if you don't want the money, don't go for the money. Plenty of women also wouldn't, especially if they suspected it would make their ex-spouse, let's say ex-spouse, nasty. Does your child seem bothered about living differently with you? Would you be willing to live differently if they did? Why would you still have no friends there after at least 5 years of living there? Find out what the law is there. As far as I understand, in the UK, as long as you've done it properly, you have a financial agreement done at the end of the divorce, and that's it. Exactly. The divorce has been over with for 5 years. You can't reclaim. I don't know specifically if that's the same for child support or not. I would definitely check that before possibly aggravating your co-parent about something you can't get anyway. Richard says you can modify both spousal support and child support here in the US. All right, so here's the OP at the bottom. My child is not bothered by it, as in her world, the fancy trips occur 3 to 5 times, which includes quick weekend hops on plane trips. And on my side, the family trips for now and I pray forever are just as equal as those high fancy dollar trips. And he loves our going home 2 times a year. He's not bothered, thankfully, but one day I suspect he will see the delta between our trips, seeing the world versus seeing his family. Codex Amina says if you don't need the money, it's not worth turning things nasty. However, it would be worth talking to your ex about a college fund and asking her to contribute the majority of that instead of child support. That's something that goes directly to the kid and tends to cause less strong negative feelings. I'm female and didn't go for child support when the time shifted in my favor. Instead, I asked for him funding the 529 instead. That kept the peace, gave the kid the custody arrangement she wanted, and didn't make him feel like he was losing. The OP says, knowing her, that won't work. It will have to be split 50-50 of the expenses. I get billed on the smallest thing to this day. Good to hear there are some good hearted women out there. Thank you. Thank you for being you. The divorce was 5 years ago. The divorce was 5 years ago. Everything was settled. This is your child. This is your child. Of course, you split the expenses 50-50. Of course, you do. This is your child. And it's not like you're poor. So, like, get out of your feelings, dude. Leanne says child support is for the child, not to subsidize a parent's income, but to provide equitably for the child. Right. It's not like this child is living in a shack and then going off to live in a castle. He needs to stop. This next person, Corinne, says, personally, I wouldn't because number one, I have too much pride. My wife is a stay-at-home mom anyways, but even if she wasn't, I would just have too much pride. Logically, her salary really has nothing to do with providing for your child. At your income levels, it's sort of pointless. And then number three, it could backfire. With an $800,000 a year income, she would have access to high profile lawyers that would turn your world upside down. But she's not making 800,000. He's estimating that down the line she'll be making 800,000. Then the OP says, just wanted to hear or read to make sure I'm not crazy. I've been told and seen females go for it all once the male gets 3 times the salary all of a sudden. Life is about peace and happiness. No amount of money can buy you that, but avoiding this child support money possibly can. But it's child support money that you weren't going to get. So you didn't have to avoid it. You just didn't need to bring it up. This person says, to what extent does the gender dynamic matter to you? For example, are you less likely to request child support because of how people would see a man asking for it, or even how you'd feel as a man? And then the OP says, it doesn't matter at all. No one would even know I would be getting child support. I just hear more examples of females trying to rent the males in these situations. So my train of thought was, why do males not do the same? Or do they? Again, as a male, I have heard some pretty nasty plots of what females have done to ruin the male's life. My discussion here was more based on, is the money worth it to go down this path? Nothing to do with gender, but I can see why it comes off this way. But honestly, in reality world, women are not getting paid that much money in child support, and it's to support the child. And most of the time, it doesn't even cover half of the expenses that it would have if the child was actually living with you. This man just wants extra. Their child is taken care of. He just wants more because that is the type of people that these people are. And this is one of the reasons why I will continue to say, just let it plummet to hell. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.